So home loans are only for the rich. Let's have a look. Good evening everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article and I'll bring it up right here. So home loans are only for the rich according to the big banks. Ooh, wait a minute. It's all breaking. There we go. She'll be right, mate. I'll get it sorted. I've been discussing this for, well, some time. The class divide in Australia is changing. You're going to have the people who have the property and the houses, and that's passed from one generation to the next, and those that don't. It's just the way it is. People are going to be frustrated and argue for housing affordability, yet they're still going to vote for legislation and politicians that push up housing. They're still going to protest against developments because they want to maintain the amenity and quality of life of the area that they live in. I can't see housing getting any cheaper than, and actually making a difference, guys. Even if we get a correction, even if housing falls 20% tomorrow, people will flood in. They'll flood in. We saw it during the pandemic. We saw housing come down. And what happened? Government stimulated the economy. People rushed to get into the sector. So let's look at this one, because the sad thing with all of this is that housing was a big tool in the past for people to come over to Australia and improve their lot in life. You'd immigrate from Australia with skills, and we have the pick of the litter, and people are all over the world wanting to come here. And it's where you could build a future, build a family, buy a house, change your legacy. Not so much anymore, perhaps. The head of banking giant ANZ has issued a stark warning to first home buyers as the great Australian dream continues to slip out of reach. A bank boss has claimed home loans have become the preserve of the rich as conservative lending regulations priced out everyday Australians from cracking the property market. Now notice this, what he's critical of. You've got all the APRA rules, and I'm not a particular big fan of Shane Elliott. He's got some very sexist opinions, which are discriminatory, but anyway. And I've got an article, we've talked about this in videos probably 4 or 5 years ago now. But here's the thing. You've got the 3% buffers that APRA have put in place that even if you could afford a loan at the interest rate they've got now, they have to calculate it at 3% higher. Because, well, here in Australia, we want a stable market. We don't want housing to be affordable. What's more important is that we have stability, is that we have the banks aren't at risk of suffering dramatic losses. That's also why you have to pay for insurance for the bank if your deposit isn't big enough. Good luck trying to get that insurance refunded when your loan to value ratio changes because the property's increased in value. Let me know if anyone's managed to do that. That'll be interesting to share with other viewers. So, ANZ Chief Executive Shane Elliott made the startling claim, is it startling? To the Australian, noting it was the most difficult environment for first home buyers in 30 years. And, my bugbear at the moment is superannuation. You've got a generation now that has all these, you've got housing that is not a starter house. The houses that were out there now, they're not starter houses like they were in the past. You can't even do as much as you could have in the past. They're much bigger. They're more expensive, probably because the market is demanding that as well, but also because the costs associated with building a house are getting more expensive. You've got all of these energy efficiency reports and calculations and requirements that we're placing on housing. You've got legislation changing and updating every year. Now we have to have a ramp in every house in Queensland. Or not everyone. There's some that can get away with not needing it, but that's another cost. That's another cost. You make the toilets bigger, you make the corridors bigger, everything gets more expensive. All of these things add up. You have to understand, what do people want? What do the masses want? What do the majority want? Are they going to vote for the policy that sounds bad and mean, or for the soundbite that sounds good? Do you think they're going to even comprehend or contemplate the impact of their, decisions on the cost of housing? They probably won't even see it. They probably wouldn't even connect the dots that voting for, access to all these houses and these, improved energy efficiency ratings might have an impact on the cost of new houses to build. And then that will flow through to the whole market. That's just how that's the environment that we're in. And this is why when we get frustrated that housing is so unaffordable to a significant portion of our population, it's why I can't really get worked up about it, because I'm of the opinion now that people don't really care, because they're going to just continue to make the situation worse for themselves. So let's keep going. If you want a loan, you have to be better off and essentially rich, he said. There's big social consequences and political consequences. He's right there. He's on the money there. I'm concerned with the political consequences and social consequences of this. I think we're going to have a generation that are going to foolishly vote for more government intervention in an attempt to address what's being caused by government intervention. I mean, if we had a free market, if the banks weren't regulated that much, sure, there'd be a high level of risk, but there'd be more affordable options, more competition. Is that a society we want, where people can't get a home loan or get a loan to start a business? Mr. Elliott said strict lending regulations, including assessing loan applicants based on a 3% increase to interest rates, risks containing lending to wealthy borrowers. No one is suggesting we want to be irresponsible. And the banks, well, they're in the business of managing risk. That's all their business is. I mean, how many banks have we had in Australia that have gotten into a huge trouble, that have fallen over? Is this an overreaction due to what's happened overseas? There's very strong evidence to support the argument we've put forward that a lot of people are missing out on getting a home loan to run a business or get a credit card, not because they're bad people, but because regulation doesn't allow banks to lean in and support those people. That has implications for people's aspirations for becoming a part of the community and wanting to invest. You're not a part. See, I mean, shit here. Just look at that. You're not part of the community until you're a property owner. Oh shit! He said the quiet part out loud, guys. He said the quiet part out loud. Bloody hell! Oh boy. Oh. The comments come after ANZ unveiled a profit of more than $7 billion for 2023. The banking giant's cash profit also rose in 2023 by 14% to 7.4 compared to the previous year. Despite the strong result, Mr. Elliott said, the external environment was likely to remain challenging. The full impact of higher interest rates is expected to continue to impact economic activity. Our customers have so far proven resilient, with a relatively low level of delinquency despite the current interest rate tightening cycle. We will continue to focus on supporting customers through what will likely be another year of cost of living pressures. Mr. Elliott said he expected the economy to be supported by strong household savings, the housing market, migration, and low unemployment. Last week, the RBA delivered its 13th interest rate hike to 4.35% in a bid to tame inflation. The rise will add $15 to repayments for every $100,000 borrowed for those with a variable home loan. RBA Governor Michelle Bullock said, inflation in Australia has passed its peak but is still too high and is proving more persistent than expected a few months ago. The latest reading on CPI inflation indicates that while goods price inflation has eased further, the price of many services are continuing to rise briskly. So a huge salary needed to afford. Okay, this is the same shit they've got from this Finder article. Okay, yeah, you're going to need 2 people that earn combined 180 grand. There's another article I want to look at. But in it, they're mentioning it's just renting affordability, and they're looking at people on Centrelink and on the Dole, and then comparing it to inner city Sydney. I mean, it's not going to work. But then the median wage of people living in certain parts of New South Wales is, as a household, is 200 grand. So this is what I'm saying. The media will play up salary, not keeping up with mortgages, but the world's changed. Australia has changed. Now you both need to work. Okay? Husband, wife, partner 1, partner 2, roommate, de facto partner. You both have to work if you want to get a house. It sucks, but that's what it's like now. I don't think it's going to change. People don't have the political will to stomach that type of change, to even discuss it. No chance. I mean, you see people who are putting their kids in childcare, struggling to work, and how much are they walking away with? After all the costs, is it worth it? Maybe one of you stays home, raises your own children. Give that a try. Work less. You might make more money. Well, let's chat about this one, guys. So, are home loans only going to be for the rich or the well-off? Or is this simply, the move to a class divide here in Australia? They're not going to release as much land as people are hoping. And when you look at Australia, a lot of it is not really where anyone wants to live. There's a reason why people fly in, fly out to the middle of this country for work. They don't want to live there. And, flying so cheap now, you can live in a beautiful seaside town or city and work in the middle of nowhere and then come back to civilization. So, sadly, I think this is the path Australia's heading. My concern is we're going to have a generation of people that foolishly vote for more government intervention, which will just exacerbate these problems. The fact that we have so many Greens in Parliament now with their ludicrous proposals that show a complete lack of understanding of historical precedent is a little worrying. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. You know how to support the channel. And a shout out to the viewer who bumped into me at Bunnings and gave me a gift voucher. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. He sent me an email asking for some advice about a project, and I gave him a response, and he just happened to bump into me, which is always nice. Funny, every time I meet someone in real life, they're always very polite and friendly. It's always nice. Anyway, guys, and that voucher is going to get spent on probably Chemset to concrete in Dowels. So that's exciting life when you're middle-aged, isn't it? Here's a funny one. I'll tell you. Because I go to Rachel and I asked her, do you mind if I spend like $30 on this game DLC? Because when we make frivolous purchases, we discuss it with each other because it's all in one big pot. She says, fine, no problem. But your budget's probably more like $230 because that's what I frivolously spent on the materials I mentioned to you the other day. So there you go. And remember, sewing and material purchasing are apparently 2 different and separate, distinct, unique hobbies that need different money streams to be spent on them. At least that's what I've been told. Anyway, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Let me do my outro. Will it work? I've got back on my old computer. I've got it all set up again. I bit the bullet and upgraded to 11. It's working fine. See you next time.